The shimmer in the sky above New York began at exactly 3:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At first, people thought it was another aurora borealis phenomenon, the kind that had been increasingly common since the solar storms began last year. But when identical ribbons of light appeared simultaneously over Beijing, London, Moscow, and Rio de Janeiro, humanity collectively held its breath. The Meridian Collective made their first appearance with calculated precision. Their ships, if you could call them that, were unlike anything human science had conceived. Crystalline structures that seemed to fold through dimensions humans couldn't perceive, leaving after images that hurt to look at directly. They hovered above Earth's major cities like frozen fractals of light, beautiful and terrifying in their impossibility. Their message came not through radio waves or digital signals, but directly into the minds of every human being on Earth. The sensation wasn't painful, but it left millions feeling as though they'd just remembered something they'd somehow forgotten. "We are the Meridian Collective," the message began, "and we come to elevate humanity." Dr. Sarah Chen, director of the newly formed United Earth Response Initiative, stood in the Pentagon's Situation Room, watching as screens displayed real-time reactions from around the globe. 20 years of studying theoretical xenopolitics hadn't prepared her for this moment. The aliens' timing couldn't have been worse. Earth was already grappling with unprecedented water shortages and climate upheaval. "They're offering us everything," General Marcus Hayes said beside her, his voice tight with suspicion. "Clean energy, medical advances, FTL travel, the complete works. And all they want is access to our hydrosphere for what they call minimal sampling," Sarah replied, studying the detailed proposal that had been transmitted to every major government simultaneously. "Does anyone else think this sounds too good to be true?" The Meridian's technology was beyond extraordinary. Their demonstrations over the following week cured a child's terminal cancer in minutes, transformed a square mile of Sahara Desert into fertile land, and showed humanity glimpses of worlds orbiting distant stars. Global markets surged, religious leaders declared divine intervention, and social media exploded with memes about humanity's space benefactors. But Sarah noticed things others missed. The way the Meridian representatives' crystalline forms seemed to pulse whenever they were near large bodies of water. How their sampling sites always coincided with major aquifers and freshwater sources. The subtle changes in oceanic patterns near their ships. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah met with Dr. Kai Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist. His holographic presentation showed disturbing patterns. "They're not just sampling our water," Kai explained, his fingers tracing lines of data. "They're analyzing its molecular structure in ways our instruments can barely detect. And look at this." He pulled up satellite imagery of Lake Victoria. "The water composition is changing. Subtly, but it's happening everywhere they've sampled." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "They're not here to help us, are they?" "No," Kai confirmed. "I think they're terraforming Earth, or rather, aquaforming it, changing our planet's water at the molecular level. The process is slow, gradual enough that most of our instruments wouldn't notice until it was too late. And once they're done, the water would be perfect, for them, for us." He shook his head. "It would be like trying to drink acid." Sarah leaned back, her mind racing. The Meridians had played their hand perfectly. They'd offered humanity such incredible advances that most people were willing to ignore the small print. But now she understood their true genius. They didn't need weapons or armies. They just needed time and humanity's own desperate hope for a better future. She pulled out her quantum-encrypted phone, one of the few communication devices they were certain the Meridians couldn't monitor. "Get me the Security Council. And find me every hydrogeologist, quantum physicist, and nanotech engineer we can trust. We need to move fast." As she waited for the call to connect, Sarah watched a Meridian ship glide over the Rocky Mountains, its crystalline surface refracting the sunset into impossible colors. They thought they had humanity figured out. A young, desperate species so eager for advancement that they'd ignore the signs of their own destruction. But there was something the Meridians, for all their advanced technology, had failed to understand about humans. Something they'd learn very soon. Humanity didn't survive and thrive for hundreds of thousands of years by being just clever. They survived by being paranoid, innovative, and absolutely ruthless when threatened. And the Meridians had just threatened every drop of water on Earth. "Security Council is online," her aide announced. Sarah took a deep breath. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious problem. But more importantly, we have a plan." The Meridians were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its technology or its resources. It was in its ability to unite and fight back when pushed into a corner. And Earth's corner had never been tighter than this. The underground facility, known as Deep Harbor, buzzed with activity. 3 weeks had passed since Dr. Sarah Chen's revelation about the Meridians' true intentions, and humanity's response was taking shape in secret facilities across the globe. This particular base, carved into the bedrock beneath the Norwegian fjords, housed some of Earth's brightest minds. Dr. Chen walked through the holographic display room, where 3-dimensional models of Meridian ships rotated slowly in the air. Dr. Kai Patel stood before one, manipulating it with gesture controls as he spoke to a team of quantum physicists. "Their crystalline structure isn't just for show," he explained, zooming in on a particular segment. "It's a vital part of their biology. They don't just use water. They resonate with it at a quantum level. That's both their greatest strength and their potential weakness." Sarah stopped beside Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who was analyzing data from their covert monitoring of Meridian sampling sites. "Tell me you have good news," Sarah said. Elena's fingers danced across her holographic interface. "Better than good. We've cracked their molecular manipulation signature. The way they're changing Earth's water. It's not magic. It's incredibly advanced science, but it follows predictable patterns. And anything that follows patterns can be disrupted." Around the world, similar breakthroughs were happening in other secret facilities. In Bangalore, a team had reverse-engineered the quantum resonance frequency of Meridian communication. In Cape Town, nanotechnology experts had developed a way to detect and track the subtle changes in water molecules. And in Montreal, a group of climatologists and quantum engineers had made the most crucial discovery of all. "The Meridians aren't just changing our water," Dr. James Morrison explained during the daily global briefing. "They're creating a massive, planet-wide network. Every sample site is connected through quantum entanglement. They're building the infrastructure for total water conversion right under our noses." The implications were staggering. The Meridians weren't planning a sudden attack. They were building a trap that would spring all at once, transforming every drop of Earth's water simultaneously. But their methodical, sophisticated approach had a fatal flaw. They hadn't considered that humans might understand it in time. Sarah stood before the United Earth Security Council, now operating from a mobile facility that changed location daily. "Operation Watershed is ready for implementation," she announced. "But we need total cooperation from every nation, and we need to maintain our facade of compliance with the Meridians." The plan was audacious. While appearing to welcome more Meridian sampling sites, humanity would secretly prepare a synchronized counterattack using the aliens' own quantum network against them. The key was in the water itself. Dr. Rodriguez's team had developed a nanoscale countermeasure that could be introduced into the water supply, inert to humans, but designed to activate when the Meridians triggered their planet-wide conversion. The nanotech would piggyback on their quantum network, turning their own molecular manipulation process back on them. "The hardest part," Sarah explained to her core team, "is keeping this hidden. The Meridians are watching everything, except what they consider primitive or beneath their notice. That's why we're using old technology, paper plans, and face-to-face meetings. Sometimes the best way to hide from advanced aliens is to go retro." Humanity's greatest advantage was the Meridians' own arrogance. They were so confident in their technological superiority that they didn't bother monitoring primitive human methods of communication and organization. They didn't understand that humans had centuries of experience in warfare, espionage, and resistance. The deployment of the countermeasures had to be done with absolute secrecy. Under the guise of routine water treatment and infrastructure maintenance, teams around the world began introducing the nanoscale defenders into strategic water sources. Each team operated independently, using pre-digital technology and local knowledge to avoid detection. Sarah watched from Deep Harbor's command center as progress reports came in via secure channels. Green lights were slowly illuminating on the global map as each region confirmed successful deployment. The Meridians, meanwhile, continued their sampling and conversion, unaware that each new site they established strengthened humanity's defensive network. "They think we're just grateful primitives," General Hayes remarked, standing beside her. "That we're so dazzled by their advanced technology that we can't see what's really happening." Sarah nodded, watching another green light appear over Southeast Asia. "That's the thing about humans. We can be dazzled and suspicious at the same time. We can hope for the best while preparing for the worst. It's a contradiction the Meridians don't understand." The final phase of preparation involved creating a backup plan. Multiple backup plans, actually. Because if there was one thing humans had learned from their own history, it was that no plan survived first contact with the enemy unchanged. "We're not just fighting for our water," Sarah addressed the global command team. "We're fighting for our right to exist as we are. The Meridians think they're uplifting us, but they're trying to remake our world in their image without our consent. That's not elevation. That's extinction." As the last green lights appeared on the map, Sarah felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. They had done everything possible to prepare. Now they just needed the right moment to spring their trap. That moment would come sooner than anyone expected. The breaking point came not from a grand strategy or a sophisticated plan, but from a janitor in Deep Harbor named Miguel Ramirez. While cleaning near the quantum analysis lab, he noticed something that all the scientists had overlooked: the way condensation formed differently on surfaces near the sample of meridian crystal they were studying. "It's like the water's afraid of it," he told Dr. Rodriguez during one of her late-night research sessions. His observation led to a breakthrough that would change everything. The Meridians weren't just transforming Earth's water. They were imposing their own rigid, crystalline order upon it. And water, as Earth scientists had known for centuries, was anything but orderly. It was chaos incarnate, a substance that defied normal physical laws, expanding when it froze and harboring quantum effects that shouldn't be possible at its temperature. Dr. Chen stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Security Council, excitement barely contained in her voice. "The Meridians' weakness isn't technological, it's philosophical. They're trying to impose perfect order on a substance that naturally resists it, and that resistance is something we can amplify." The discovery sparked a new phase of Operation Watershed. Instead of just defending against the Meridians' molecular manipulation, humanity could actively disrupt it by enhancing water's natural quantum chaos. It was like fighting fire with fire, except in this case, they were fighting order with chaos. Around the world, research teams began adapting their countermeasures. In the Atacama Desert facility, Dr. Patel's team found they could use simple temperature fluctuations to create quantum ripples that propagated through the Meridian's network. In Singapore, marine biologists discovered that certain algae naturally produced molecules that enhanced water's quantum uncertainties. But the real game changer came from an unexpected source: children's play. At a refugee center in Kenya, Dr. Sarah Chen watched children playing with soap bubbles and had an epiphany. The way soap molecules changed water's surface tension was remarkably similar to how the Meridians were trying to change water's fundamental structure. "We don't need to match their technology," she told her global team. "We just need to understand and enhance water's natural properties. The Meridians are so focused on control and order that they've forgotten something fundamental. Chaos is a part of nature, not an enemy to be conquered." The human response took shape with characteristic adaptability. While the Meridians continued their methodical sampling and conversion, humanity prepared a multi-layered assault that embraced unpredictability. Traditional scientists worked alongside indigenous water experts, combining ancient knowledge with cutting-edge quantum physics. In the Amazon, shamans worked with hydrologists to identify natural water patterns that could be amplified. In Iceland, geothermal engineers found ways to use volcanic activity to introduce controlled chaos into groundwater systems. Every culture, every tradition that had ever developed a unique understanding of water was brought into the effort. The Meridians, meanwhile, remained oblivious to the true scope of human preparation. Their rigid thinking patterns prevented them from seeing the significance of what they considered primitive or irrelevant activities. They didn't understand why humans still used inefficient water rituals or maintained obsolete irrigation systems. What they didn't grasp was that humanity's seeming inefficiencies were actually strengths. The very diversity of human approaches to water use and management meant that no single point of failure could compromise the entire system. While the Meridians built their single, sophisticated network, humanity maintained thousands of different, interconnected ways of working with water. Sarah found herself working more closely with Miguel, the janitor whose observation had started this new phase. His practical understanding of how water behaved in everyday situations proved invaluable in testing their countermeasures. Water's like people, Miguel told her one day while demonstrating how different cleaning solutions affected surface tension. Try to control it too much, and it finds ways to slip through your fingers. But work with its nature, and it'll do amazing things. That insight became central to humanity's strategy. Instead of trying to match the Meridians' level of control, they would work with water's natural tendencies toward chaos and complexity. Every lake, river, and ocean would become not just a battlefield, but an ally. As the final pieces of the plan fell into place, Sarah gathered her global team for one last briefing. The Meridians think they understand water because they can manipulate its molecules, but we understand water because we've lived with it, fought with it, celebrated it, and respected it for our entire existence as a species. That's not primitive, that's wisdom. The trigger point was approaching. Soon, the Meridians would attempt to activate their global conversion network. But instead of finding a compliant population and a malleable resource, they would encounter something they had never expected: a planet-wide resistance built on the very chaos they sought to eliminate. Humanity was ready to show the Meridians that sometimes the most sophisticated response to advanced technology was to embrace the fundamental forces of nature itself. The stage was set for a confrontation that would demonstrate exactly why humans had survived and thrived in a universe that constantly tried to eliminate them. The Meridian High Command chose Earth's winter solstice to launch their final conversion protocol. They believed the alignment of Earth's axis would optimize their quantum network's efficiency. Their crystalline ships moved into precise positions around the globe, creating a geometric pattern that would have been beautiful if it wasn't designed to end human civilization. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in Deep Harbor's command center, watching the Meridian ships through their quantum imaging system. Around her, teams from every continent maintained constant communication through their secure old-school networks. The moment they had prepared for was finally here. "They're powering up their conversion matrix," Dr. Peddle reported, his eyes fixed on the quantum readings. "Energy signatures match our projections. They're following the exact pattern we anticipated." The Meridians' overconfidence was their fatal flaw. They had detected none of humanity's preparations, dismissing the subtle changes in Earth's water as natural variations beneath their concern. Their quantum network hummed to life, reaching out to touch every drop of water on Earth simultaneously. That's when humanity struck back. First came the quantum cascade, triggered by thousands of synchronized temperature fluctuations in water bodies across the planet. The Meridian's perfectly ordered network suddenly faced an explosion of chaos as water molecules began behaving in ways their models never predicted. Multiple disruptions detected in their network. Elena Rodriguez announced, tracking the cascade's progress. The quantum ripples are amplifying exactly as we planned. The Meridian's first response was predictable. They increased power to their conversion systems, trying to overwhelm the resistance through sheer force. But this only played into humanity's hands. Sarah's voice was steady as she gave the order. Initiate Phase 2. Around the world, deep in Earth's oceans, pre-positioned devices activated. These weren't weapons in any conventional sense. They were resonators designed to amplify water's natural quantum fluctuations. The devices had been placed by submarines, positioned by marine biologists during routine research missions, and hidden in the very spots where the Meridians had conducted their earliest sampling. The effect was devastating. The Meridian's quantum network, already struggling with unexpected chaos, now faced a tsunami of quantum uncertainty. Their crystalline ships began to vibrate as the water molecules they were trying to control refused to submit to their ordered patterns. Their ships are showing signs of structural stress, General Hayes reported. The crystalline matrices are becoming unstable. But the true genius of humanity's response wasn't in the technology, it was in the timing. As the Meridians struggled to maintain control, thousands of human cultural water ceremonies began simultaneously around the globe. From Native American rain dances to Hindu river blessings, from African libation rituals to Chinese dragon boat festivals, every human tradition that celebrated water's sacred and chaotic nature was performed in unity. The Meridian sensors registered these activities as meaningless cultural displays. They didn't understand that each ceremony, each celebration, was creating its own unique quantum patterns, adding layers of complexity to the chaos their systems couldn't handle. They're trying to adapt, Dr. Patel warned, watching the Meridian ships attempt to reconfigure their conversion protocols. But they can only adapt in predictable, ordered ways. They can't match our level of simultaneous variation. Sarah nodded. Initiate final phase. This was the masterstroke. The deployment of the nanoscale defenders that had been seeded throughout Earth's water systems. As the Meridians attempted to force order onto Earth's water, these microscopic agents activated, creating countless points of quantum resistance. Each one was based on a different model of water behavior, drawn from every human culture and scientific tradition. The effect was catastrophic for the Meridian ships. Their crystalline structures, designed to impose perfect order, couldn't handle the overwhelming chaos. Fractures began appearing in their seemingly perfect forms, spreading like cracks in ice. They're attempting emergency protocols, Elena reported. Their ships are trying to disconnect from the quantum network, but the feedback loops we created are preventing clean separation. The Meridian High Command faced a choice they had never anticipated: retreat or risk the complete destruction of their fleet. Their perfectly ordered society had never prepared them for a species that would weaponize chaos itself. Sarah watched as the massive alien ships began emergency ascent procedures, their crystalline surfaces now webbed with fractures. "Send the message," she ordered. The transmission was brief, composed in every human language. "Earth's water belongs to Earth. It is not yours to take or change. Leave now, and know that any future attempts to alter our world will be met with the same response." The Meridian retreat was not graceful. Their damaged ships limped away from Earth, their perfect geometric formations shattered. As they disappeared into the upper atmosphere, humanity celebrated, not with military parades or formal ceremonies, but with countless spontaneous celebrations, each unique to its culture and tradition. In Deep Harbor's command center, Sarah finally allowed herself to smile. "Sometimes," she said to her team, "the best way to fight those who worship order is to remind them that the universe runs on chaos." The victory wasn't just about protecting Earth's water. It was proof that humanity's greatest strength lay in its diversity, its adaptability, and its willingness to embrace the unpredictable. The Meridians had tried to impose their version of perfection on Earth, only to be defeated by the beautiful chaos that made Earth and humanity unique. 5 years after the Meridian retreat, Earth had changed in ways few could have predicted. The united response to the alien threat hadn't dissolved back into national rivalries as many had feared. Instead, it had evolved into something new, a global civilization that celebrated its differences while working together in ways previously thought impossible. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at a podium in the newly constructed United Earth Sciences Complex in Nairobi, addressing a gathering of scientists, leaders, and students from around the world. Behind her, a holographic display showed the latest readings from their quantum detection network, humanity's early warning system for any future attempts to manipulate Earth's waters. The Meridian invasion taught us something crucial, she began. Our strength lies not in trying to match advanced civilizations at their own game, but in embracing what makes us uniquely human, our chaos, our diversity, our ability to find unity in our differences. The changes were visible everywhere. The technology developed to fight the Meridians had revolutionized human understanding of quantum physics and water science. But more importantly, it had changed how humanity saw itself. The old water treatment plants had been replaced with biomimetic systems that worked with water's natural properties rather than trying to control them. Cities had been redesigned to incorporate water management techniques from cultures around the world, creating resilient systems that were both more efficient and more beautiful than their predecessors. In the research labs beneath the complex, Dr. Kai Patel worked with a team of scientists from every continent, studying the fragments of Meridian technology left behind during their hasty retreat. Their mistake, he explained to a group of visiting students, was thinking that advancement only moves in one direction, toward more control, more order. They couldn't understand that sometimes the most advanced solution is to step back and work with nature rather than against it. The Global Quantum Communication Network, originally created to coordinate the resistance against the Meridians, had evolved into something remarkable. Instead of trying to impose order like the alien system, it embraced and utilized quantum uncertainty, creating an information system that was both more secure and more efficient than anything previously imagined. Miguel Ramirez, the janitor whose observation had helped spark humanity's successful defense, now headed a global initiative encouraging scientific observation from all sectors of society. Everyone sees things differently, he told his international audience. That's not a weakness. It's our greatest strength. But perhaps the most significant change was in how humanity prepared for future contact with alien civilizations. The new United Earth Space Initiative wasn't built around military might or technological superiority. Instead, it focused on understanding and celebrating the unique aspects of human civilization that had proven so powerful against the Meridians. Deep Harbor, once a secret facility, had become a center for both scientific research and cultural exchange. In its halls, quantum physicists worked alongside traditional waterkeepers, while artificial intelligence systems learned from ancient wisdom about the behavior of water and nature. Sarah walked through these halls with Elena Rodriguez, now the director of Earth's new Xenological Relations Department. We've detected 3 different alien signals in the past year, Elena reported. All of them more advanced than we are, technologically speaking, but none of them have tried to approach Earth directly. They've heard about what happened to the Meridians. Sarah smiled. The story has spread through whatever channels advanced civilizations use to communicate. Earth is no longer seen as an easy target for resource extraction. The quantum detection network suddenly lit up with new readings. Elena checked her handheld display. Another ship approaching. This one's different from anything we've seen before. Different how? It's chaotic. The energy signatures aren't following any pattern we recognize. Almost like they're deliberately showing us. They understand the importance of chaos. Sarah finished. Send the standard greeting. Let's see if they're here to talk rather than conquer. The new ship's response came quickly, not as an ultimatum or demand, but as an invitation for dialogue. They had heard of Earth's victory over the Meridians and wanted to learn from a civilization that had found strength in chaos and unity in diversity. As Sarah prepared to meet these new visitors, she thought about how far humanity had come. The Meridians had tried to remake Earth in their image, But in doing so, they had helped humanity discover its true power. They had reminded humans that their greatest strength wasn't in trying to impose order on the universe, but in their ability to adapt, to embrace chaos, and to find unexpected solutions to impossible problems. The new alien ship hung in orbit like a dance of light and shadow, its form constantly shifting in ways that celebrated rather than feared uncertainty. As humanity prepared for this new first contact, there was no fear, only curiosity and confidence. Whatever these visitors brought, Earth would face it the same way it had faced the Meridians, with unity, adaptability, and the beautiful chaos that made humans who they were. The universe, it seemed, was finally ready to meet humanity on its own terms.